Hello, everyone. It's Mariners Fanatic, and today I will be talking about the Cleveland Indians and how they have absolutely owned the Seattle Mariners in our team's history. Today I'll be going over a few reasons why the Indians have always owned the Mariners. This is kind of a farewell letter to the Indians, as their name will likely be changing after the 2021 season. It's a little bit of a good riddance for Seattle Mariners fans, as we don't have to worry about the Indians stealing away our players or beating us all the time. When they change their name, they still could very well do that. But we're going to hope for a fresh start and that the Indians will stop beating up on us with a name change. So today I'm going to go over a few different reasons for why the Indians have just destroyed us, both in games and through trades and people they've taken away from us. And there's three trades I want to focus on. The first one I want to talk about is Omar Vizquel. Now, this trade was in 1993, and we traded Vizquel for Felix Furman and Reggie Jefferson. Neither of these guys were terrible with the Mariners, but they didn't pan out. Felix Furman was with the team for 2 years, and he batted .275, but he was a light-hitting shortstop, and he committed 16 errors, and he was not nearly the defensive player that Omar Vizquel was. Reggie Jefferson actually hit pretty well when he played for the Mariners, batted .327, but this was only over 63 games, and the next year he was replaced by Edgar Martinez. Also in 1996, Alex Rodriguez would become the Mariners shortstop. Overall, trading Omar Vizquel wasn't the worst thing in the world because we did end up getting the shortstop of the future in Alex Rodriguez. However, his 47 career WAR, .272 batting average, 404 stolen bases, almost 3,000 hits with 2,877, 11 Gold Gloves, three-time All-Star, and a career .985 fielding percentage at shortstop. We really gave up a player that is borderline Hall of Fame worthy. To say we got fleeced would be an understatement for two players that just weren't terrible, but just did not pan out. The second one I want to talk about is the Shin Soo Hyun trade. This happened in 2006. We traded Shin Soo Hyun for Ben Broussard. Ben Broussard wasn't terrible for the Mariners. He batted .260 in 155 games over 2 years, but he also wasn't good necessarily. Shin Soo Hyun has gone on to have a .275 career batting average with a career WAR of over 34 and an OPS plus for his career of 122, which, if you know anything about OPS plus, 100 is the average. So basically, Shin Soo Hyun was an above average hitter and a pretty decent fielder that we lost. I get it a little bit why they traded him. We had Raul Ibanez in left field who was tearing it up, and Ichiro in right, and those guys weren't going anywhere. But trading away talent is not necessarily the best move. That one didn't pan out for us. The last trade I want to talk about has to do with Asdrubal Cabrera. We traded Asdrubal Cabrera for Eduardo Perez, and this one was really bad. Cabrera was still in the minors. He hadn't made it to the big club yet. Career WAR of over 29, .268 career average, OPS plus of 106. Not crazy numbers, but he's a solid everyday player for a long time for the Indians. Eduardo Perez, who we got in return for that trade, batted .195 in 43 games and retired after the season was over. Asdrubal Cabrera wasn't necessarily as good of a player as Shin Soo Hyun or Omar Vizquel. We lost out on a lot with him because he was terrible and then he retired. At least with Omar Vizquel, we had A-Rod come up and be the shortstop of the future. With Shin Soo Hyun, we already had Ichiro and Ibanez, so it wasn't horrible. But with Asdrubal Cabrera, Jose Lopez and Yuniesky Betancourt, they were solid players, but they weren't crazy, amazing, and their careers kind of fizzled out and didn't last very long. Asdrubal Cabrera was a prospect, and he's still playing right now in 2020, 2021. So we kind of gave up on an everyday fielder that we could have had for years to come, and that's pretty unfortunate. The Indians have fleeced us historically in trades, just stealing great everyday players from us. They also took away our chance to be the wins record holder in a single season. Now, hindsight is always 2020, but August 5th, 2001, it was a crazy game. The Mariners were up 12 to nothing after the fourth inning. The Indians managed to come all the way back, scoring 3 in the seventh, 4 in the eighth, and 5 in the ninth to win 15 to 14. We lost that game and we ended the season 116 and 46. If we win that game, a game we were leading 12 to nothing, we would have gone on to become 117 and 45 and hold the ultimate record for most wins in a single season instead of being tied with the Chicago Cubs. Now, we still hold the American League record, and who knows if anyone will challenge that win record. It is what it is, but it would have been cool to see the Mariners with that record outright. Moving on to the next point, the 95 season, the season we beat the Yankees, the team that was making the city of Seattle proud and happy. After beating the Yankees, ended up losing to the Indians in ALCS 4-2. Now, it was a back and forth series. It was tied 2-2. Then the Indians won the last two games to take the series and would go on to play in the World Series and eventually lose to the Atlanta Braves. It's pretty unfortunate as the Mariners have still not made a World Series. Made it to the ALCS twice, losing to the Indians in 95 and then the Yankees in 2001. But the story about the Mariners versus Yankees history, that's for another video another time. Losing to them in the 95 ALCS was harder, I think, because the Mariners had a great team that year. Not that they didn't in 2001. The team in 2001 was amazing. However, in 95, that was with Griffey and Edgar and A-Rod and Randy Johnson and everybody. The 1995 Mariners were just really special, and it would have been amazing to see them in the World Series that year, and so it was just unfortunate to lose that series that year. Then one of the last things I want to talk about is, in general, the Mariners have won 183 games to losing 228, so it's not overtly surprising as the Mariners hold a losing record against a lot of teams with a career winning percentage of 472, I think, which is, not great. It's not entirely unexpected that we have a losing record against them, but that is a pretty wide margin of wins to losses. So the Cleveland Indians have had the Mariners number for a long time. Over the past decade, it's been pretty even. We haven't lost any more prospects to the Indians necessarily, but just in general, the Indians have had our number for a long time, especially in the mid 2000s with Travis Hafner, Grady Sizemore, and then eventually Shin Soo Hyun and Asdrubal Cabrera on the same team. So, that was basically the 90s and 2000s, the Indians owned us. Not so much in the last decade, but overall, the Indians have owned the Seattle Mariners. Anyways, guys, this was kind of a little bit of a random video. It's a little bit of a farewell tour to the Cleveland Indians. It's soon to be either the Cleveland baseball team, Cleveland Spiders, Cleveland name redacted. We'll see what happens with their name change, but thought this was an interesting video to go down. So hope you guys liked the video and give me some suggestions on some other Mariners history or team type history that I can put together a video for. So like the video, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you guys next time.